Welcome to Cooking with Chemistry 108 Taco Beef Mince. So today I'm going to be making a beef mince, which is the base for nachos, tacos, burritos, enchiladas. Um, and if you can get the beef mince right, then everything else tastes good afterwards. So let's begin. So we want to get our pan nice and hot. Cool. And then we can place a little bit of water in there just to stop it from burning or anything. Water's fine. Alright, so as the pan heats up, we can add the beef mince. We can add onions, we can add tomatoes. Now, for tomatoes, I have a few options. I've got diced tomatoes, chopped tomatoes, tomato paste, whole tomatoes, and some ripe tomatoes. Some ripe tomatoes. I've got onions, and I've also got garlic. So, essentially, onions add to the sweetness, garlic adds to the sweetness. I tried adding excess garlic, like way too much garlic one time. Like I just added like whatever's too much, I added even more than too much of the garlic. And what I ended up finding was the taste is beautiful. It's nice and sweet, but there's a bit of a potent smell. That's the only downside to adding too much garlic. Other than that, you can add heaps of garlic. Whereas if you add too much ginger, you can actually ruin the food. Add too much salt, you can ruin the food. But in terms of garlic, it's fine. But I'm just gonna add a little bit of garlic, just a little bit of garlic for flavor. All right, cool. So let's begin. So get a little bit of water in there, just keeping the pan nice and hot, just keeping it to a nice boiling temperature. The idea here will be that I simmer the mince. But when I add the mince, I need to break it up. I want to add some diced tomatoes, whole peeled tomatoes, chopped tomatoes, fresh tomatoes. It's all good. I do prefer diced tomatoes over tomato paste, um, but I think it's just personal preference. All right, cool. So there's a few different ways you can get it started, right? I mean, you can add the beef mince in first, you can add the onions in first, you can add the tomato in first. My preference is just to add diced tomatoes, just a can of diced tomatoes. It doesn't matter that there's water in there because you're going to boil off the water. The whole idea behind this dish is that you actually evaporate off a lot of the liquid. If you find it's too watery at the very end, simply just use a strainer and strain it off, but that juice underneath is going to be really tasty. Alright, take the spoon, And now we just want to bring our liquidized tomatoes up to temperature. So that's essentially just diced tomatoes. When the tomatoes simmer, they're going to really soften. And if you give it a good mix, you can actually pretty much just, turn it into liquid pretty much. Essentially, we want to add the tomato into the beef. So that'll now start to come up to boil, right? And the earlier I get, so the beef is the one that takes the longest to get done, right? The beef takes a while to simmer and come good. And when I add the beef, because the beef is like in a like a spaghetti wavy sort of form, you have to kind of like really mix it around to sort of get it broken up into like so it's more particles rather than like long stringy spaghetti bits of beef. So we bring our tomato up to boil. Now when I add this, I have to give it a good vigorous stir to get it broken up. If you take too long, you'll end up with long stringy bits. Actually, that one's recycling. Come down there. Alright, cool. So, I want to break it up. Also, I can turn the temperature down, otherwise I'll end up simply cooking it too fast. So let's turn the temperature down. Mix it up. Yeah, the quicker you do this, the better. If you leave the beef mince in too long, it ends up cooking like a burger, which is not really what you want with a nice beef mince. You want it as like a mince. Funny fact, this beef mince comes from Coles, a supermarket here in Sydney. I actually worked for their head office, which was attached to the manufacturing warehouse where this mince is made. I've seen this mince get made. I got taken on the tour through the warehouse, through the manufacturing floor, and I saw them make it. And yeah, it's pretty much just the beef mince is essentially they take all the nice cuts out and they sell it as all the nice steaks and loin cuts and this cut and that cut, but all the bits that are like cut off and trims and everything, nothing goes to waste. They take it and they just add it to the pile, and then that pile goes into the giant grinder. That grinder is the size of like a dump truck. It's massive. And then essentially, yeah, it just gets ground up and then just comes out like mince. It's bone, it's fat, it's meat, it's everything. But it's not really workable because they sell nice cuts of meat. And yeah, cool. That's looking up. It's looking mostly broken up. Got to keep going just a little bit, get it nice and broken up. So I want to infuse the tomato juice into the beef. Then salt for flavor, and then onions and garlic for sweetness. Now you can already see there's already oil droplets coming off the beef. So the tomato is pretty much just mostly water and sugars and some carbohydrates, whereas the beef mince is very much a lot more fat and protein. There are still carbohydrates in beef, because that's like how you store iron and things like that. Because carbohydrates are essentially just vessels for transferring nutrients or vitamins. Alright, cool. Now that's looking like a nice beef. Just as long as you get rid of anything that makes it look like a spaghetti, you're all good. Like if you took spaghetti and you broke it up into as many pieces as you can, you'd still get strands of spaghetti, even though they're only 1 inch big. So I'm just trying to get rid of that, because then it looks like a nice mince. Just keep working it until you find it looks like what mince should look like. Not a giant burger. But that's looking quite nice. There's still a few bigger pieces. You can chop them up. Won't really make too much of a difference. No one's going to complain about, oh, that little piece is like 1 inch long. No one's ever going to complain about that. But it does affect the flavor if the whole thing is one giant burger patty, because like the center doesn't really get the tomato juice absorbed in. All right, cool. So that's pretty fine. I'm happy with that. Okay, cool. I might have. So I'm gonna leave that on there. That should be right. Cool. So I want to add these tomatoes in. So I'm just gonna chop them up. The tomatoes will mostly break up as it simmers and it's hot, and once you mix it, then it'll just become like porridge. The tomatoes, that is. So how much tomato to add? Just until it looks like a nice red color, until you taste it and it tastes nice. That's all. Now I'm using these tomatoes because they're overripe. And I've kept them specifically for this tonight. Nice. Bit of tomato. Cool. Then I can add some onions. So we'll start off with just 2 onions. So with the onions, I just kind of cut the end off. Just cut the non-edible parts off. Just cut that off. Run around once. Simply peel it back. Nice onion. Now, for onions, right, if you dice it, you will end up not being able to distinguish the onion in the mince afterwards. And that's fine, because the onions, when cooked, caramelizes and makes it very sweet. However, I do personally, for me, like long pieces of cooked onion, very similar to like onions that you would have on like a hot dog sort of thing. Long, stringy onions. I do like that. I don't necessarily want blended onion pulp on my hot dog, you know? So the cut that I do for the onion is I start at the center of the onion, and I do a single cut all the way down. So that's all it is. It's just a single cut, right? Just that section there in the top, making it like a Pac-Man, right? Then once you've done that, you simply just do a cut to make it like a nice thickness, and then what you get is a long piece of onion. Throw the onions in. If you separate them, they'll cook a bit faster. If you keep it as just a whole chunk of onion and throw it in, it'll still be cooked at the end. Like if I make this Pac-Man disc, that one there, right? I'll show you just the length that you can get out of them. You know, you can get a nice long piece of onion, you know? I like that. That's just my preference. Now if I take that chunk, which is essentially like Pac-Man, I can just put it in there and it'll be fine. Like once you mix it and stir it around, it'll be delicious. Welcome. Thank you for the follow, Eddie. Welcome on in. So give it a nice little cut there. So now we have some onion. And to be honest with you, the way I do it is with the pan how it is, and the beef mince is about the size of like probably about a third of the pan. I just put onions all over the top and that's it. Hi. Chop that little bit off. Chop that bit off. Oh, there's one little bit of onion from the previous onion. Do one little slice there. Peel this bad boy. Well, that's a good thing I'm wearing lab glasses. That would have got me in the eye. Alright, then get one good peel. Cool. There's our onion. Now, personally for me, I'm just going to keep adding the Pac-Man discs. It's just my favorite. So cut the onion so it's like a Pac-Man. And then essentially cut your size disc. You can make it thin, you can make it fat. Doesn't really matter. It'll be cooked and it'll be stringy like a long piece of, like that will end up becoming a long piece of like spaghetti in it. You sound familiar. Hello, Eddie. I sound familiar. I see. Well, I mean, my name is Logan, so hello. Hi, Eddie. Okay, cut that one up. All right. So I usually just add, you know, onions all throughout the top, just so it's nice little discs all over it. Okay, the temperature is low, so it's just gonna simmer. Simmering is the key. You just want to simmer your... Are you Aussie? Yeah, I am Australian, yes. So I just have a bit of tomato juice that I'm just gonna essentially pour in there. Get a bit of that pulp in there. Okay, cool. So then next is the garlic. So as I said, that's why. I see. So with garlic, as I said, I've tried before making this type of mince, beef mince. I've tried adding excessive amounts of garlic. Like, it is too much. It's way too much. And to be honest with you, the flavor was just sweet and beautiful. But, like, the kitchen stank, you know? The accent is unbeatable. Oh yeah. So, okay. So with garlic, so essentially all I do is I just want to peel it. Just chop both ends off. If you need to, just do a little run with a knife down the side of it, just so you can peel it. All right. Once it, come on, peel. Okay, just pinch and pull. Okay. Now, the key thing, oh, there's a little bit of growth on it. I'm just going to cut that off. Cool. So with garlic, right, that whole big chunk, that single piece, I'm going to put that in, okay? Just one, okay? Because when it's simmered and it's cooked, that piece of garlic, you'll go to eat it and you'll take a bite of it, and you'll be like, that was a piece of garlic. It'll have the texture of a soft potato, and it'll be sweet. And as a single piece, no problems. So, next piece of garlic. Okay. Okay, this piece of garlic I'm not going to do whole because there's already one piece of whole garlic in there. If I add too much garlic, basically, oh, I can smell it, you know, that'll be pretty much the feedback, you know, like, oh, I can smell it from a room away. Okay, so but for this piece of garlic, I'll cut it, right, and I'll cut it again. I'm just going to make it sort of just a little chunks, okay? So that's like a little chunk. It's like, well, that piece is gone. It's just the tip of your finger, right? It's equal in the tip of your finger. Now with these pieces of garlic, there's just 3, okay? From New Zealand, okay. So with these pieces of garlic, when I add them in, like there's just 3 little pieces, okay, the size of your fingertip. That's gonna be, you'll take a spoon, you'll go to eat it, and you'll be like, And if you don't know garlic was added like that, you're pretty much going to go, was that like a piece of potato? Because all the tomato juice and the beef juice are going to infuse into it and make it soft like a soft piece of potato. It's very hard to distinguish. With the larger piece, you can kind of tell it's garlic because it's in your mouth, it's the size and shape of garlic, so it's easy to determine. But the smaller little tiny pieces, very difficult to determine. Okay, and I'm going to add one last clove of garlic. I don't want to add too much. This technically might be too much just looking at it because you can smell the aroma already. In which case, I wonder if it is already too much. Because if you add too much garlic, you just get the, oh, smells like potent garlic. Oh, mate, they love garlic. You know, it's just, even though there's nothing wrong with the flavor, I feel like I'm interrupting you. Now, you're fine. This is meant to be interactive live TV, right? So you have the opportunity to interact. It's fine. There's even a feed the felina, feed my cat. The cat's hiding in that little red dome thing in the side. As much as I want to add more garlic, onions have added enough sugar to the food for it to be sweet and tasty. I don't need to add more garlic to make it sweet and tasty, but I do want a couple of pieces in because they are nice tasting. They are delicious. But I believe with the smell that I can already smell, I think it's too much already. Now, alternatively, I could have taken the garlic from the start and crushed it and made it into like a paste, pulp, diced, whatever the case is, right? And if I had done that, I can add it in, but no one can actually tell there's garlic in it, except for if you add too much, you can smell it. That's about it. So that'll do for garlic. Just 1 3/4 pieces. And that's pretty much it. Now it just needs to simmer. Alrighty, so as a dessert to go with it, I got a papaya. a nice red papaya. So all I'm going to do is just cut off the end, and I'm just going to peel it. I think they're in season in Sydney at the moment, and they're delicious. I had a delicious one over the weekend. I thought to myself, no, I want another one. They're so tasty. Papaya, very similar to pawpaw. Just this is like a red flesh one, and it's just really sweet, really tasty. Aussie Gordon Ramsay, lol. I've watched a bit of Gordon Ramsay, especially his early stuff. I really enjoyed it. I thought he did some really nice things for community with his first show. Where he goes around helping struggling restaurants. Some people are helpable, some people not so much. But I thought it was really nice. Some of the people and some of the things that he learned and some of the things that he made, I thought it was really awesome. And then I watched the one where he did it with the Muppets, and I thought that one was so silly. I wished it was longer and funnier, but it was fairly short and it was a bit silly. But I did enjoy the one where he met the Swedish chef from the Muppets. I like that one. So with the beef mince, it just needs to simmer. So there is a fair amount of time. Is the skin edible? Yeah, yeah. I did wash it beforehand. Yeah, no, the skin's it's a bit bitter. But yeah, the skin's edible. I'm sure you could eat it like an apple. But like the inner is so sweet. It's like eating watermelon with the skin. You could probably eat the skin, but like it's just bitter and it doesn't really suit the flavor of the inside. Um, yeah. No, nothing too wrong with the skin. It's not my thing, but yeah. Yes, you can eat it. Do I want to eat it again? No. There we are. There's a nice, delicious papaya, red papaya. Throw this inside here. That's simmering. Just need to keep stirring it just to make sure I don't get a burn spot in the center, which I'm not. But yeah, I just need to keep it simmering. Just slowly keep it simmering. And you can see the onions is already becoming soft. And once they're soft, it's a good indicator that it's good to eat. You can also, once you see it's boiling, you also know that once it's boiling, it's hit that 100-degree temperature, in which case, once you obliterate all your bacterias and molds and all that at the 66-degree mark, you're fine. So once you see it boiling, it's pretty much edible. It's no longer raw. And the mince is high surface area because it's mince. It's not a giant thick cut 10-inch fat piece of steak, which the center is going to be completely raw, right? This is beef mince, and mince has high surface area. Therefore, the increase in surface area decreases the time it takes for the temperature to reach all the way through it. Whereas a 10-inch fat piece of steak, you put it on there, you're only going to cook about maybe 1 centimeter, 1 inch in. You're not going to cook the other 6 inches. It's going to be raw. But at the moment, this is pretty much, since it's boiling, it's edible. In which case, the spoon's washed. Um, it's gone into boiling stuff. It's all fine. I'm fine with that. And to be honest with you, I'm sure you could eat that mince sashimi style. It's clean. It was fresh. 23rd expiry date. Today's like what, the 18th? 14, 15, 16. So today's the 17th, right? So the beef mince is best before expiry. What is it? Best before expiry. Best before the 23rd of February. So that's like 17, 3, 6 days. Nice piece of papaya. Let's have a taste of that. Mmm. It's 75 for meat. Um. Uh. Okay. So if the meat is 74 degrees, because it's above 66 degrees, you have obliterated the bacteria and molds. So at 74 degrees, the bacteria and molds are dead. The cells can't handle over 66 degrees. And I think you'll find most chefs center of the meat. Oh, center of the meat, yeah, totally. That's fine. It depends. Well, like to be accurate there, if you had, let's say for example that was a piece of beef and we put it on the pan like that, okay? The the edge that's touching the pan is cooked. We're in agreement. It's like 480 degree blue flame temperature. It's 480 degrees. That thing is burnt. Okay, but the very top part, that's raw. There's no way the heat's gone to the top. If you put a lid on it, then okay, the steam is actually going to go in there, and you actually have 100 degrees around it because the steam is 100 degrees. The steam is higher than 100 degrees. So you actually can cook it from the outside. But yeah, the center probably still raw. But we can look it up. I'm happy to look it up. But I'm pretty sure 66 degrees is your magical obliteration temperature, and I think under -3 degrees is your suspension temperature. So that's where mold just sits there in suspension. You don't kill it, because if you defrosted it, the mold will just like growing again at 35 degrees. What is the definition of medium rare steak? Look, to be honest with you, I've always asked for medium rare. Um, and yeah, it's just a nice singed pan fry texture on the outside, and on the inside is just juicy and moist. I think that's all I'm ever after when I ask for medium rare. To actually serve someone with center rare, it needs to be clean. Like, if you don't, if the heat hasn't gone all the way through it and changed the color, you risk, making someone sick. So I think, medium rare. No, like, why is it pink? The center, well, I mean, like, pink is raw. Like, it's just, if I cut a piece of steak straight out of the cow, it's pink, right? As you put it on the pan, the outside gets cooked, and the center, when you see a color change, it does mean that the heat has gone all the way through it. If that makes sense, are we talking about the same thing there? But with what I'm making here, I'll do a loin type steaks cooking video for sure. I will. I've got lots and lots and lots of different meats and ideas and things. Like, I've even got a boneless poultry that I do, which is amazing. Um, Flavor disappears a little bit when you take away the bones, but the comfort of eating something with no bones is amazing. Like, that's the kicker that most people are like, oh my god, there's no bones in the entire chicken. Give me a cut. Give me a big cut, and I stuff it with either mashed potato or croutons and vegetables. But that's for another stream in the future. Cool. It's pretty good. Awesome. Hey Sabe, what's cooking? Taco beef mince. So a beef mince for tacos or burritos or soft shell tacos, hard shell tacos. I'm going to be making soft shell tacos. I'm going to be making soft shell tacos. Yeah, you could make nachos, burritos, soft shell tacos, and yeah, but the idea here is that I'm making the base beef mince. If you can't get the beef mince right, how are you gonna make tacos or nachos? You can't go and make the other parts without doing the base component. It's like getting vanilla ice cream correct to then make chopped chip, to then make mango, to then make coconut, to then make Rocky Road. If you can't get vanilla right, then like no matter what you make afterwards, it all tastes like garbage, right? Uh, Curious, but what have you added so far, and how does chemistry get involved? So what I've added so far was I added water, then I added diced tomatoes, and then once it came up to boil, I added the mince. I then mixed it up so that like the mince is not long strands of minced spaghetti like as it comes in the packet. And then I added like 1 3/4 pieces of garlic, which like have a look back through the video. I'm pretty sure on YouTube, if you click the link above, it should take you to the YouTube. On YouTube, you can actually go backwards through the video, whereas on Twitch you can only like clip the last 3 minutes. So if you want to see how the garlic is cut, just hit the YouTube video and then just go backwards, and yeah, you can see how I did that. Basically, it's 1 piece of garlic, and then the other piece of garlic, cut it into quarters. I accidentally lost 1 piece, and then I put the 3 little pieces in. And then I took the onions, in which case I'm happy to add another onion. So I'll show you how I cut the onion. But actually, I want to cut the papaya and get it over and done with, because I don't want onion juice in the papaya. That kind of ruins it. Okay, so papaya, cut down the center, cut down there, and then I'm just going to throw it into the bowl, and then just cut it into nice chunks. Personally, for me, I don't mind the seeds in papaya, but some people don't want to eat the seeds. That's fine. It's like watermelon seeds, to be honest with you. I see no issue, but some people... Okay, so there's a piece with no seeds, a piece of papaya. Oh, it's so good. I want another piece. I'll have a piece with seeds. Oh damn, that's so good. Alright, so there's the papaya. I'm going to move that to the side. Alright, I don't mind if there's a bit of papaya juice going into the mince. It's fine by me. Oh, hello, Felina. Felina, get down. Get down. Fine, stay there then. Alright, so with the onion, as I said earlier, this is how I cut my onion. This is just how I like it. You can cut onions, you can dice it, you can do whatever you want. But this is what I like. So I take the onion, I make a single cut to the center. So now the onion is like a Pac-Man. And then I slice it into discs. That's a disc. It's cut like a Pac-Man. And the reason for that is you get these long strips of onion. Because I like it like that. Just break it up and throw it in there. You can see that the onions from that's already been in there, they're like getting soft and whatnot. Depends how thick you want the onions. You can throw it in as a disc. It's fine. It just, once you mix it around, they'll get soft and they'll cook all the way through. Throw the onion in there. Cool. This is all rubbish. Awesome. Alright, then give this another stir. Alright, so what we got? It was 60 seconds last I checked. Looks like a sweet potato. No, it's not sweet potato, it's papaya. Like pawpaw papaya. I'll have one for the party on Saturday night, Save. I'll let you try papaya. You'll taste it and you'll be like, oh yeah, that tastes nice. That's all. That's all you're gonna say. Because it's tasty. So to be honest with you, that beef mince is pretty much cooked. Alright, it's got a bit of raw onion in it, so I might just give it a few minutes for the onion to sort of come good. I'll just put it more towards the center, the raw onion, so it kind of cooks a bit in there. Pour a little bit of the juice on top. And then I also chopped up 4 tomatoes that were like overripe. I've had them in the fridge for a little bit, and so I chucked them in. I do like eating tomatoes, you know, like carrots, celery, cucumber, and I do like eating tomato as well. It's done, let that simmer. Okay, cool. Alright, let me get rid of that. Thank you. Alright. Yeah, I got rid of it. Yeah, I said that before. It was cut and thought it looked like a sweet potato. Just FYI. Okay. Alright, so I'm just going to let that simmer for a little bit. I'm then going to give this another rinse in the sink. Alrighty, so that's now just going to simmer, and the key here is just to let it simmer. Let it simmer. That piece of garlic. So there's the whole piece of garlic. That's one whole piece of garlic. It only means one person's going to get it in their food. I'm quite happy to have it. I don't mind. Some people might not want it, but that's fine. This is just how I make it. And just getting the juice over the top. So you're starting to see the color of the beef change, and that's what you want. You want it to change from that gray color to a reddy color, and that's when you know that the tomato has really infused into the beef to give it a nice flavor. So just keep topping it up. And that's all it is. It's quite simple to make. All right, so let's do a bit of typing here. All right. So, let's go. All right, so the ingredients were 1 can of diced tomatoes, 400 grams. So 400 grams of diced tomatoes. We also had just a little bit of water. Let's say, for example, 100 mils of water. And the 100 mils of water is just so that the pan is at that boiling temperature, not ready to burn something that touches it. So 100 mils of water, 400 grams of diced tomatoes, and then we put 500 grams of beef mince. Hey, no, don't burn yourself with the fire. Go down. Felina, go down. What do you mean, Mao? Where's the... Oh, quick, go down. Go down. Go down. Well, she's not scared. She knows I'm not going to do anything. Go down. Please. Whatever. Fine. Stay there then. Yeah, go over. Yeah, you can go over. Go over. All the way over. Psst, psst. Come on. Over here. Come on. All the way over. Like a good girl. Here. Here, there's some treats. Sounds more like no than meow. Yeah. She's a, yeah. Alright, so let that simmer for a bit. Okay, so we added a little bit of water just to get the pan boiling. Then once we saw the temperature was good, we then added the diced tomatoes, brought that up to a boil, then added the beef mince, and then we mixed thoroughly. Right? To break it down. Yep. Then we added 1.75 cloves of garlic, and that can be however you want it. Okay, it can be whole, quartered, which is what I did. Okay, but it could be crushed. You know. Then I added 3 onions. Actually, I added 2 onions, then 3 onions. So 2 onions and 1 onion. And I'm gonna call, I don't, what do we call it? We'll call it Pac-Man strips. Pac-Man strips. Because you cut it like a Pac-Man, and then you cut Pac-Man disc strips. Yeah, I like Pac-Man disc strips. That's how I cut my onions. Pac-Man disc strips. Yep, cool. And that's it. So the next thing I need to add is salt. And this is my magic ingredient. This is my magic salt. It's essentially sea salt, Saxa sea salt flakes. Because I find that it just, like, I've got table salt, but I'm telling you, if I add table salt and if I add Saxa sea salt flakes, the sea salt flakes just taste better, better texture, better surface area, it's just better. But overall, it doesn't really make a difference. It's both sodium chloride. Okay, so the way I do the salt dosing takes you to the sea. So the way I do this dosing of salt is important. If you add too much salt, you ruin it. If you add too much garlic, it becomes potent smelling, tastes beautiful, but people can smell it from next door and go, "Oh, what are you eating over there?" You know? So, with the salt, the way I do it is, this is boiling, it's fine to eat. Make sure it's not burning in the center, which it's not. Okay? So, what I want is a little bit of the sauce and a little bit of the mince, right? I'm just going to let it cool down because I will burn my tongue. And this is sort of a 3, 4, 5-step phase to get the salt right. Okay, I do have MSG, but this is not the type of food I want MSG in. Okay, so this is going to need some salt. There's not enough natural salts in the onions and the tomatoes, but they have a lot of sugars, so it's quite sweet. So the salt sort of balances it and gives it that nice flavor. It takes you to the sea in your dreams. Yeah, righto. Okay, flavor-wise, nice. Does it need to simmer longer? Little bit, but it's edible. You could take that, strain it, and throw it into like tacos, nachos, into a burrito, into a soft shell taco. You could eat it, delicious. But the longer you cook it, the more oils you draw out, the more tomato juice you put in, the more onion sweetness caramelized comes into the meat. So the longer it simmers, the nicer it'll taste. If I can see that there's like droplets of golden oil around the top of it, and that's nice, but if I simmer it for an extra hour, it'll be a beautiful golden color. Like it just the fats are coming out. You got to draw the fats out. Temperature of the blue flame's about 480, and most oils, they decompose and degrade around about the 330 mark. So around 270 to 330 degrees, most of your oils break down, right? So therefore, how would you put it? If you put oil in a ceramic cup into an oven at 66 degrees, the oil's not really going to change. It's just going to sit there as liquid. But if you increase that temperature to greater than 330, let's say you go to 600 degrees, you're going to end up with black ash inside that ceramic bowl. If that kind of shows you the difference of what the temperature can do to it. So the key temperature, I personally think that the key temperature in cooking with most fats and oils is 270 degrees. The lower end of the degradation temperature. 270 to 330. It depends what you use, whether it's avocado oil, almond seed oil, almond nut oil, beef oil, turkey oil, duck oil, uh, uh, cow's milk butter oil. Like, all of them will have different temperatures. Like, you could probably sit there and name a thousand different things, and they will all have different temperatures. So a lot of the time, cooking is just picking an average temperature that kind of works for most things, but you can fine tune it. Different things do require different temperatures, but pretty much all of them at the 400 plus, 600 plus degree mark, all of them are going to get destroyed. But whether it's 270, 280, 289, 300, 310, 315, that depends on what oils you're working with. So I suppose that's a little bit the chemistry side. The other side of the chemistry, like a lot of the cooking stuff is going to be common sense chemistry, right? I put the onions on the stove, it caramelizes them. I then have caramelized onions for my hot dog, my sausage sandwich. Can I take that caramelized onion and go back to raw onion? No. It's a one way reaction, right? Can I boil water into steam? Can I collect the steam and turn it back into water? Yes. So you can sort of have a circular system going there, or a triangle system, if you go ice to water to steam to ice. Cool. So that's just simmering. So back to the taste testing to get the right salt component. So now I take a little bit of the sauce, a little bit of the beef. All right. I don't really want tomato here. I just want the beef and the sauce. Okay, little beef, little sauce. Okay, so now what I do is I take the salt and I sprinkle it, and I look at the surface of what's on the spoon and I coat the whole thing. That pretty much means if that pan is the spoon, I would coat the whole thing. You and I both know that's going to be too much salt. But I've only ruined a spoon. But I can go down from it because maybe there's too much sweetness in it and it is necessary. I'd rather go under than over than in the middle and then work out whether I go up or down to what I want to taste. Too much salt. It's too much salt. That's fine. Alright. Try again. And this is how I get the salt dosing correct. Just a little bit of beef, little bit of sauce. I try to avoid onion and tomato here. I just want the sauce and the beef because that's really the main component I'm trying to get right. Alright, there we are. Now this time, add probably half. Like, it's kind of like, I think that's perfect. I want beef ice cubes. Yeah, you can make beef ice cubes. We can have a talk about what we can do with that. But yeah, you can do beef ice cubes, sure. Do you want beef stock ice cubes? Because that'd be quite nice. Alright, let's go again. Let's go under. Let's go under where we just were. So let's go a quarter. Okay. I only put it on a quarter, but let's give that a little mix. Yeah. Yeah, it's nicer than the half. Go another taste. And let's go the 1/8 mark. It's just under where I would like it. So now I know the salt component. I need to put a quarter. So I grab the salt, grab a pinch, and that'll be about the quarter mark. Give it a mix. I can always add extra salt. Okay, now it's starting to dry up a little bit, which is good. You want to dry off and evaporate off all the water to make it dry. That way you don't have to strain it. All the onions are now soft, and I personally love these long onion bits. I love it. That's just me. I like eating what I can tell what it is, right? There's a piece that's a quarter of a garlic. I would say if anyone got that in their food, they wouldn't really know what it is if it's cooked and simmered for a long period of time. If it's a little bit undercooked, they'll be able to tell. And some people will probably spit it out. But if it's cooked and simmered and becomes soft like mashed potato, most people would eat it and go, "What was that?" It's not necessary to grind up everything into a powder or a paste and add it to dose flavoring. Not everything has to be a homogeneous purple smoothie. Sometimes it's nice to take a bite of something and like something. If there's a chunk of tomato, if there's a whole cherry tomato in there, completely cooked, and when you bite into it, it explodes in your mouth, that's different to blending a whole bunch of cherry tomatoes and adding liquid into the food. Those two are completely different when you eat it. I think I learnt some of those skills from Davis, the head international pastry chef for the Four Seasons Hotel, and he gave me a 10 out of 10 for my lemon and passion fruit cheesecake. It took me 22 cakes, and he kept giving me feedback to get there, but I got there, and he taught me a lot of skills. I loved working with him. He was such a lovely guy. Alright, nice, we get that simmering. Have another taste. Now this time I don't mind tasting if there's other stuff in there. I don't mind a bit of onion and stuff. The food's going to be delicious at this point, but I will burn myself with that. That was mostly all onion. It was tasty, but you need more beef. So it should be overall fine. But it was nice, and there is a lot of beef in here. But to be honest with you, that's cooked and that's delicious. That is ready to eat. I'm happy with that. The garlic needs to be simmered longer to soften up a bit more. But overall, it's fine. So therefore, let's make a wrap. Although I have one other ingredient. Cheese. Grated cheese is delicious. And the surface area of the cheese is important. I don't like the big fat holes. I actually like the skinny thin holes. So I'm going to grate up a bit of cheese. The cheese I'm using is Cracker Barrel Extra Sharp. I mean, cheese is personal preference. So all I can say is experiment. Buy cheese, see which one you like, and go with it. Do you like Camembert? Do you like Brie? Do you like cheddar? Do you like Tasty? Do you like that processed rubber flavor out of some of those cheap ones? Cool. There's some delicious shredded cheese. So I put the cheese inside a bag so that it's airtight, for the most part. It just stops it from going hard and bad. Okay, cool. So, move my cheese over there. Okay, grab a wrap. So because it's this early in making it, the issue is that it's going to be very juicy. Right, a lot of the water hasn't been evaporated off, so I'm going to need a fair bit of paper towel with this one. that's fine. Alright, so we go paper towel, put our wrap on it. Strain off as much of the liquid as possible, put that on there. Nice. And then give that a little stir. So I mean, for example, I will show you. Pull back the tissue and I'll tilt it, and what you'll notice is it drips, right? It's dripping. You don't really want that when people are making tacos because it kind of makes a mess. When are you cooking the jenkem before or after the tacos? Jenkem? What's that? Love it. How you have so many spoons so the added seasoning doesn't wreck the breakdown of flavors with cross-contamination. Yeah, I mean, I'm cooking for others. Why would I, like... Nobody wants my spit in their food. I think that's common sense. Yeah, that's why I just have multiple spoons. I take a spoon, taste it, it goes into the dishwasher. Like, yeah, or I wash it up, or whatever the case is. Or I use it in my eating food, or whatever. So, okay, so I've strained out most of it. You can still see it's still dripping, right? And that will be the case with this, right? So the idea behind it's still dripping. I don't know whether you can see that so good, but it is still dripping. That's fine. Right, that'll do. Alright, so we have our beef mince. You can just line it up a little bit. Okay. We then grab a little bit of salad. This salad here is iceberg and cos blend. It's iceberg lettuce, carrot, red cabbage, white cabbage, lettuce, red cabbage, carrot. It's 4 things. 5 things. Iceberg lettuce, cos lettuce, red cabbage, white cabbage, and carrot. It's just a little bit of salad on there, like that. Nice. Then we add a little bit of cheese. A little bit more cheese, little bit more cheese, little bit more cheese. Cool. Then we just roll it up. Then we wrap it up in the tissue because it's going to leak. Ta-da! We have a wrap. I need a thumbnail photo. I'm going to take a photo of that. But what I might do is I might put down a paper towel underneath it, just so it looks a bit more presentable. Because it's got the stuff that I chopped up underneath it. Alright, here we are, that's nice. You know what? Let's add a little bit of mince to the front of it. This is just presentation. Because it's for the thumbnail. Gotta do the thumbnail all nice. Yeah, there we are. That looks like mince. And just stick that in the front there so it's sort of coming out the front. There we are. That'll do. There we are. Cool. That's a nice photo. Awesome. So now because I added that hot mince on the front, it's going to be way too hot to eat. So therefore, let's go grab that. Let's go grab that photo. Yeah, so pretty much all I'm doing now is just letting it simmer. That's all. Just on low heat, right? Medium heat. And, you know, I'm avoiding burning to the pan. You don't want to burn it. Once you burn a piece of beef to the pan, the smell and aroma of burnt charcoal just goes through everything and the food is ruined. Alright, let's email myself the photo, and then I can access it on the computer. Attach the photo. What are you doing? Go back. Attach the photo, send it to send, and it should pop up. Alright, let me access that photo and grab it, then I'll put it up on screen. Oh, and then we have to add salt. So I would say it's a quarter surface area salt. So a pinch. It's not a tablespoon. Quarter of a tablespoon. Yeah, let's go one quarter tablespoon of sea salt flakes. Flakes. Here we are. Cool. Alright, sweet. Alright. Okay, cool. So we are pretty much ready to eat. I have papaya, and I've got my taco wrap, soft shell taco wrap. Alright, let's try it. Oh, that's nice. And the heat of the mince being hot has actually melted the cheese inside. That's delicious. Alright, ease. So, let's see. So out of 10, how easy is this to make? Fairly easy, but there is the time it takes to simmer to get right. Other than that, it's just like throw in diced tomatoes, throw in a packet of beef mince, mix, add some onions, add some garlic, add some salt. Ta-da! So it's pretty easy. I would say ease-wise, I'd have to give this probably an 8. An 8 out of 10 ease. I think it's pretty easy to eat. Budget. So, budget-wise, let's see how much it costs. So the beef mince was, I think, about $9 for the half. No. Yeah, it was about $9 for a half kilo. 500 grams is about $9. So $9 plus a can of diced tomatoes, like 99 cents. So that's like $10. The formula is C9H9N for Jenkins. N. There's nitrogen in it? What is it? What is it? What is it? Things that have nitrogen in it usually affect the brain. What is it? I'm googling this. Wait, hold on a sec. I have a side quest. Jenkins. Let's have a look what this is. My gut feeling says this is something that affects the brain. Let's have a little look here. Jankum, a drug created from fermented human waste. What? It's a hallucinogen created from human waste. That's disgusting. Okay, sure. Yeah, I was right. It affects the brain. It's a hallucinogen. Just by showing me it had nitrogen in it, I knew it was something that affects the brain. So, no, there's not going to be any of that nonsense in here. This is delicious food. All right, so the ease, 8 out of 10. Let's change this to. Can I just do general? Can it just like I don't want. So it's depending on who you ask. Okay, sure. I mean, you're welcome to tell me what you think it means, but I just googled it up and had a look at what it is, and yeah, delicious food. Okay, this is delicious food. All right, let's have a look here. All right, so the ease of how to make it is 8 out of 10. Oh, now this sounds like it's starting to simmer hard. I'm gonna turn the temperature. I'm gonna turn it off. I'm just gonna turn it off because I do not want it to burn. I want simmer, and it's hot at the moment. Like I'd burn my tongue if I started to eat this. Stick the garlics in the center. Get that over there. Cool. There's steam coming off of it, so I'm fine with the temperature that it's at. Okay, so 8 out of 10. Why does it change to 10th of August? What does it do? Just can you format cells? Text. Where's text? There it is. Text. Okay. 8 out of 10. Good. It is what I want it to be now. All right. Let's go right hand side. There we are. Budget. Okay. Sorry. So it was $9 for the half kilo of beef mince, 500 grams. It was $1 for the diced tomatoes. I added four fresh tomatoes in there. In which case I'll just add here. And 4 fresh chopped tomatoes. Yep. Sabe, I personally thinking you're trolling, but you can eat that. Yeah, okay. Sure. Okay, back to beef taco mince. All right, 500 grams of beef mince. Okay, so the water pretty much free. I mean, unless you want to count 0.01 cents of water, 100 mils or something. Actually, I think it'd be cheaper than that. 400 grams of diced tomatoes, 4 fresh chopped tomatoes. So that's about $1 plus the tomatoes were around about $1 or $2. So let's say $3. So that's $12. The garlic was I purchased it from Coles today, and it was about $2.80 for this like bag of cloves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, there's about 20 cloves in there, and I used 1.75. So $2.80 divided by 10, 28 cents divided by 2, 14 cents. I used about 12 cents worth of garlic. All right. Okay. And then what else did I add? Onions, 3 onions. The onions were like $2 a bag for a kilo, and I used like 4. So it's around 50 cents, 50 cents worth of onions. $1. Let's say $1 worth of onions, and then sea salt flakes is literally a couple of cents. So in total, you're looking at about 12, 13, about 13, $14. But this feeds like what, 4 people easily. So you're looking at about $4 a person or $3 a person. Actually, the wraps themselves, they're a bit more expensive. So I think they're about $4 for about 8 wraps. So $4, yeah, it's about 32 cents a wrap. So anyways, overall, you're looking at around about $13. So I would say budget-wise, for the quantity of food you get, I would say this is around about a 9 or a 10 out of 10. Because the quantity of food you get, the flavor you get, I think it's good, really good value. Serving 4 to 6 people for a total of $13 at $2 each, that's really good budget. Like that's really, really good. The only thing that's going to beat that is basically microwaved potatoes, because then it's literally only about $4 a kilo. So okay, budget. I'm going to say budget is 9.5 out of 10. I think that's really, really good value. Which is probably why a company like Guzman Gomez is doing so well. They just make beef mince and put a whole bunch of wraps together, throw some onions in. Ta-da! It's pretty decent value. Flavor. Oh, it's so good. Um, like 10, 9.5. We'll go 9.5. We'll leave 10 for something that's like extremely good. Yeah, 9.5. Speed to make it. Okay, this does take a while. I started at like 8 o'clock, and the time now is about 9:42. So speed is actually quite slow, and the key there is that the mince has got to simmer for a long time. I really enjoy looking at recipes people made during the Great Depression. Yeah, because they would have had to have made the best out of what they had. And they, like, if you're motivated to find things to do with less ingredients, you're gonna find stuff. You're gonna make it's gonna happen. All right, speed. I'm gonna have to give this like a 6 out of 10. It's pretty slow to do. This was an hour and 45 minute stream, and to be honest with you, it's sitting there. It's tasty. It could still simmer longer. So yeah. So I'm gonna give it speed like 6 out of 10 because I do think it is a bit slow. 6 out of 10. All right, and then the total is 8, 17 and a half, 18, 28, 34. So 34 out of 40. So 85% overall. Oh, what about the cheese? Shredded cheese also have to add. Shredded Cracker Barrel extra sharp cheese. Yeah, it's really nice. That cheese is real good with it. Mm. What do you think about a slow cooker? I think a slow cooker is 10 out of 10 amazing. I have taken and made a whole chicken, and I put like macadamia nuts in it before, and you fill it up with water and it cooks over like 18 to 36 hours, and at the end of it you can eat everything. The bone crumbles like it's a piece of chicken. I think slow cooking is amazing. I do have a slow cooker. Just the issue with slow cooker is, you see here I've got speed. This one was 2 hours to make a meal for like 4 to 6 people, and I gave it a 6 out of 10. The slow cooker, like, I'm gonna give that essentially like either a 1 out of 10 or a 0 out of 10, that or a 0.5 out of 10. I don't think you can cook anything slower than a slow cooker. I honestly, now off the top of my head, I don't think I can think of anything to cook in a method slower than a slow cooker. So yeah, speed 0 out of 10. But like, being able to eat bones from the meats you cook, 10 out of 10. It's actually one of the only ways I know how to eat bones with the food, and bones contain a lot of flavor. The slow cooker, I love it how you can run and dump ingredients and volume. Yeah, yeah, just chuck it all in there and just let it do its thing. Yeah, yeah. The slow cooker is really nice. Oh, this is so tasty. I think I did add too much onions in this batch. It's almost like mashed potato and mince kind of situation. It's like a 50-50 ratio sort of thing. Every bite has lots of onions in it, but the onions are soft potato, mashed potato type texture. And are quite sweet and tasty. Like, the whole thing is delicious. But to be honest with you, I think I would add less onion. So I'm actually going to adjust it and say, let's just add 2 onions, not 3 onions. And to be honest with you, you can use small ones, but I actually used two medium onions. I think is probably the perfect balance. I've used 3 large onions, and it is a bit much, but like, you add a lot of sugars caramelized sugar by doing that. 4 whole onions is a lot, even for a 4-person dish. I thought you added 4. I mean, I can look back through the video, but like 2 medium onions is probably the perfect balance. So I'm adjusting that in the recipe, which is not what's in this, but that's only because I can clearly see that this has too much onions in it. I'm okay with it. Most people would be okay with it. The flavor is sweeter with it, but I do think if I were to make it a second time, I'd do 2 medium onions, and I think it'd be a much better balance. I personally love adding the taco seasoning. I didn't do any seasoning. I've used seasoning before, and to be honest with you, like whether you add paprika, chili powder, pepper, like you can add turmeric if you well, maybe turmeric's more Indian spice, but like yeah, paprika I think is one of the main ones. I've added um like Old El Paso seasoning mix before, and to be honest with you, I then stopped adding it because it just made it taste salty, and like it's almost like it's like powdered tomato. So I don't think it's I genuinely don't think it's necessary to add taco seasoning mix. I think that that is just a compensation for not infusing the tomato into the beef mince and not adding the correct amounts of salt, onions, and garlic to get the right balance of sweetness versus salty flavor. And to be honest with you, we call it taco seasoning mix, but to be honest with you, what is it? What is taco seasoning mix? I'm just gonna Google it. Give me one quick moment. Side quest. All right. What is taco seasoning mix? My guess is paprika, chili, salt, maybe celery powder or something. It says here, taco seasoning mix is a blend of spices that typically include chili powder, cumin, oregano, garlic, and onion powder, and salt. So to be honest with you, I didn't add chili. If you like chili, you like spicy, you can add chili into it. If I've got a whole, like, if I was making this for friends tonight, and the friends are like, oh, we love spicy food, then no problems, I'll add a bit of chili. But you do get people that do the whole, I can't handle spice. And in Australia, quite a fair few people can't handle spice. I can handle 10 out of 10 spice. I don't enjoy that. I my preference is between 0 and 6 out of 10 spicy, but I can handle 10 out of 10. I've had competitions with my brother, my old mate from uni, from Chile, my cousin, and I beat all of them. Like, I'm like, oh, yep, it's delicious. And they're like, oh my god, my mouth's on fire, I'm sweating, oh god, all the things, you know? But yeah, essentially taco seasoning mix, it says that it's chili powder for spice, to heat, cumin powder for herby aroma, oregano, which is kind of like a mixed herbs flavor, and garlic, which I've added fresh garlic. I prefer fresh garlic than powdered, desiccated garlic. Onion powder. I've added actual onions in there. If you don't want the texture of onions in it, just dice the onions or blend it and add it in. And then salt. I added salt. And that's what it is. Wouldn't this recipe be better for ragu? What's ragu? Let me have a look up. What's ragu? What? Side quest. What is ragu? Ragu is a hearty Italian meat sauce that is typically served over pasta. Yes, yes, you can absolutely this can be ragu. Absolutely this can be ragu. It's made by slow cooking meat and vegetables and braising liquid. Okay, so I would add diced zucchini in it as well if that was the case. And usually you add some tomato or wine-based sauces. The long cooking time allows for the flavors to meld together. Yeah, okay. This is ragu, except for it doesn't have the pasta to be served over, and it doesn't have vegetables in it. But I've got zucchini in the fridge. You want me to chop up zucchini and throw it in? I'm fine with that. Zucchini's delicious and sweet. Um, and wine. Yeah, I don't have wine either. But yeah, no, this could absolutely be ragu. Yes. I mean, so this is taco beef mince, okay? Forget about the taco part. It could be burrito beef mince. It could be nacho beef mince. It could be ragu beef mince. It doesn't matter. This is basically the vanilla ice cream of the other things that you can do with it. If I chop up diced up zucchini and throw it in, I could then boil up some spaghetti, strain it, and then throw this on top of it. You'd eat it and you'd be like, delicious. If I put it into a soft shell taco, delicious. Hard shell taco, delicious. Burrito with some beans mix, delicious. All of them work. This is essentially the base ingredient of a lot of those things. So to be honest with you, I can make a ragu beef cooking stream. I can make a nacho cooking stream. I can do all of those other types of things. But I feel like here, this is the base taco beef mince, which is where I want to start at. If you can't get the base ingredient right, you can't do the next steps and phases. There's no point. If you can't get vanilla right, you're not going to get choc chip right. Try the Aldi one. Okay, I just love the Aldi one. Add the best color to the dish, but yours is mega clean. Yeah. You'll find that a lot of the things that I make, they're pretty healthy. They're pretty core healthy. Someone that, for example, has, cancer, that needs to be careful what they eat. They can't eat a whole bunch of preservatives and horrible other, manufactured things that are being added. They need to be careful with what they eat. And eating boiled chicken all the time can be quite boring. Whereas a lot of the things that I make, they're the natural raw ingredients put together to pull out the flavors. And overall, the things that I make are usually pretty healthy. Like, Sabe, you came over and when I made the boneless chicken stuffed with mashed potato. Like, you loved the color of the chicken skin. I cut you a piece and you loved it. It was delicious. And the thing is, all that was potatoes, some salt, a chicken, and a knife. you know? Mmm. That was delicious. I'm gonna make one more wrap because I'm like, it's delicious. The other thing I also like to do is I like to semi-toast the wraps as well. Can add beer to the onions. Huh? Can add beer to the onions? Why would you add beer to the onions? However, that up. Hoovered that up. Oh, yeah. It's delicious, man. You want me to make it for Saturday? I'll make it for Saturday. Alright, let's go. Let's grab a little bit of the top beef mince. Yep, cool. A little bit of salad. A little bit of cheese. You know what? All of the cheese. All of the cheese. The cheese won't melt now because it's actually cooled down quite a bit. And liquid-wise, there's not much liquid. Like, I'm going to move it up and I'll see if I can show you. But if I do that, can you kind of see that? Yeah, you can kind of see that. There's like it's like 1 tablespoon worth of liquid, right? And that's what you want. So that's now, I can put it back on, let it simmer. Like, all you're going to be doing is pulling out the oils. Okay, that would be too hot. I'm only going to burn it. If it was up there, that might be alright. Because, I mean, there's like, what, 480, 600 degrees. Up there is probably like almost, 40 degrees. So there's like a nice balance of where you want to sit it, but I'm not holding it. I'm not holding it. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn the heat down. Turn it down to the lowest, and then just pop it on, and it should bubble and simmer. So that's fine. Yep, that's cool. Awesome. Very nice. Oh, I got one of the pieces of garlic. I think I got one of the quarter pieces of garlic. You get a kick of garlic in your mouth, and then it dissipates. But the entire room doesn't stink like garlic. But my mouth at the moment does a little bit because of that piece of garlic. Never tried beer on cooked onions. Starting to make me hungry. This is delicious, dude. If I handed you one of these, I'm sure you'll eat it. I'm sure you'll eat it. This like it's not spicy. It's really just sweet beef mince with a little bit of cheese with it, and that cheese is really nice. Like, there's a lot of cheese. Like, I pretty much no longer buy shredded tasty cheese, shredded mozzarella cheese, shredded pizza cheese. I don't buy them anymore from like Coles and Woolworths and Aldi. They just taste like rubber, and I'm over it. I don't want that in my food anymore. But the Cracker Barrel, like when you cut a piece and you eat it, it's got that bitey kick to it. And I also buy Camembert and Brie cheese. But I just don't buy tasty cheese anymore. I just find it's just like rubber. The one that I found is the common one in Austria. Here we call it, I think it's called buffalo mozzarella. It usually comes in like at Aldi. They come in like these little ice cream tubs that are kind of clear. It's got a liquid in it of like a water, and it's got these round eggs of cheese. I think it's, I forget the name of it. But in Europe, they just call it mozzarella. Where do you get it? Starting to make me hungry. Where do you get it? Where do you get what? The cheese that I'm talking about. You get it at Coles, Woolworths, and Aldi. But for this, usually with like nachos, tacos, my preference is a bitey yellow cheddar cheese. But if I was to make pizza, I prefer the other one. Um, Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it on like the Aldi website. Aldi cheese. Dairy products and eggs and resources. Alright, let's have a little look. Let's see if we can find it here together. So I'm on the Aldi website. That's all milks, eggs, butter, cheese. Here we are. Brie, Camembert, Brie, feta, Westcork, Colby, processed rubber slices, tasty cheese, cottage cheese, smooth ricotta, something with like apricot and almonds in it, Gouda, cream, yogurt, desserts, juices. No, what? I know Aldi sells it. I'm sure that they sell it. But I don't see it here. Let's have a look. I'll just look up Austrian mozzarella from the local spa or something. Fresh mozzarella from Woolworths. What is this? Yeah, maybe. There's a name for it of what we call it in Australia, and I find it a bizarre name. That's why I can never remember it. Buffalo cheese. Let's try buffalo cheese. No, I don't think so. Oh, maybe that is it. Mozzarella. Yeah, it's Yeah, okay. So if I go to here, so this is Wikipedia for mozzarella. Okay, this is Wikipedia for mozzarella, and you see this picture here. That's a big blob of mozzarella. Okay, that is not Coles, Woolworths, Aldi's processed yellow shredded mozzarella. That is not this. They are two completely separate things. This one here is this round big ball of mozzarella with some cherry tomatoes and some basil in the background. Beautiful. This is what I would have on pizza. Personally, I love Old English cheese. Yeah, Old English cheese is nice. For like taco, mince type stuff, Old English cheese is much, much nicer, I think. This mozzarella I'm pointing out now is not really for the taco Mexican styled foods. That mozzarella is more for Italian, Alpine pizzas, traditional pizzas. That I think is much nicer there. Cool. Mm, 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 mm. Delicious. This is so tasty. Mm. So I'm gonna pack some for my colleagues at work tomorrow, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make them a wrap with the mince plus some shredded Cracker Barrel extra sharp cheddar, and that's it. I'm not gonna put the lettuce in it because I take it to work cold, they'll have to take it and throw it in the microwave, or they can throw it onto the sandwich press, or they can throw it into the oven. The oven would be the nicest, but they're not gonna. It's too much effort. They're just gonna put it in the microwave for a couple of seconds and eat it. Um, where do you get it? I've seen smooth balls in liquid. Yeah, it's the smooth balls in liquid. When you came over, say, do you remember that night that I made all the pizzas? That night that I made all the pizzas, I had that cheese there that night. So some of the pizzas that went into the oven had the European styled mozzarella cheese. We call it something different in Australia, and I can't remember the name. But to be honest with you, Wikipedia shows you that is mozzarella. But unfortunately, here in Australia, we're desensitized, or I don't know if that's the right word, but we think mozzarella is the shredded yellow stuff. But that shredded yellow stuff tastes like rubber. And most people that have had good Italian, Northern Italian, Austrian pizzas from the Alps, the Italian Alps, French Alps, Austrian Alps, Swiss Alps, people that have had authentic like pizzas from that region, oven baked traditional pizzas for like €6, 50, like $10, right? That's the mozzarella you get at the local supermarket there because like it's delicious. Okay, so I'm just boiling off the liquid. Okay, it's on a low temperature, just boiling off the last little bit of liquid. Nothing fancy. Spread it out, get the surface area increased, and just boil off the water. The more water I boil off, then the less, oh, my wrap is leaking tomorrow at work. Now, this wrap, mostly dry. I think the word you're looking for was cuisine. Alpine cuisine? Sure. I mean, I don't know what they call it. For them, it's just pizza, right? For them, it's just pizza. For us, it's like, let's use our processed rubber mozzarella. And we're used to it. As a kid growing up here in Australia, that's what I'm used to. And it wasn't until I traveled over to that area of northern Italy and Austria that I realized, hold up, why is mozzarella this like bag of liquid with like some sort of ball inside it? And I cut it open, drain out the liquid, take the ball, put it on the chopping block, cut it up, and put little discs on the pizza, threw it into the oven, pulled it out, ate it, and I'm like, way better, way better. It doesn't taste like that rubber processed nonsense. But I didn't buy that for this either. I bought some nice actual like bitey cheddar. Reminds me of the difference between real full cream versus fake full cream. Yeah, I'm not much into milk. Um, but I'm assuming you're talking about like, a nice full cream delicious milk versus like processed water with a tiny bit of some sort of white butter in it. processed. So this is coming up to a boil. There's steam coming off. I don't see any actual bubbling and boiling. So I'm going to turn it off again because there's no point in burning it. I'm only going to ruin it. At the moment, it's delicious and good. Cool. This will all go to get washed up. That's going to sit there and simmer. And then also, I'm going to have my papaya. So something nice and savory, and then something nice and sweet for dessert. Mmm. Yeah. I think I know what you're talking about. I was never really into milk, so I never drank it like that to have that creamy mustache from the milk. But I do know what you're talking about. Just I'm not a milk lover, so like, yeah. But like, if you notice the difference, yeah, it's the whole process versus like some. But to be honest with you, I don't know whether that relates too much because you're talking about milk from the cow, which is very creamy and thick, versus processed milk, which is just a runny white liquid. Whereas we're looking here at processed yellow rubber cheese versus like a nice ball of mozzarella cheese. So I get what you're saying and where you're trying to go with that, but mmm, awesome. Cool. Well, that's my dessert. What else needs to go into the fridge? That's got to go into the fridge. That's got to go into the fridge. The onion can go into the fridge. The wrap. It's a piece of tomato stuck to the back of my hand. The bread can go into the fridge. And that's it. Yeah, cool. I'll come back to your message. One sec. That's how I'm gonna serve it. So you can have one of them. What does it say? My father asked me to get milk from my grandpa, and I got him the old full cream where my dad wanted me to get the nowadays milk, and he was so happy. Oh yeah. So three. Cool. I can put four at work. And I can have the rest. I want the rest. I want the rest. Alright. It's my ball. That can be my ball. That's wraps for me. Awesome. Pack this away. So these are some wraps I've got for tomorrow to take to work. Pop it on the table. You want it, you have it. Alright, so let's see. Let's take that one to the sink. Anything else for the sink? Oh yeah. Let's take that one. That'll do. Cool. Cool. Wraps. Cool. Alright, sweet. Hey, routine play good. I got you. Mouse pad. Grab this one. Alrighty. Let's go. Alright, cool. Well, that was Cooking with Chemistry 108, making taco beef mince. And basically making some delicious taco wraps. They're delicious.